वेलकम टू मेन स्ट्रीम विद हरप्रीत सिंह तूर। आप सबनों प्यार भरी सत श्री अकाल, नमस्कार, आदाब एंड शलोम। There are a lot of things to talk about, but I'm going to start with the first congratulating Indian cricket team. I'm sorry, I was about to say soccer team. Indian cricket team to win the Asia Cup because it was a very interesting match, 3 balls to spare, even though it appears India won by 5 wickets, but they had only 3 balls left. And so apparently the scoring and everything, when they started at the beginning, it was like appearing that okay, India may not even make it to the point, but they did it. So there are a few things which I definitely would like to talk about and want to talk about. Number one, the issue is the handshake issue. Okay? Sports has always been something that sportsmen, are supposed to be above all these things. They talk about, there are two things people talk about being a statesman and sportsman. What it is that sportsman is actually? Sportsman actually is that at the end of the game, the players shake the hands from the opposite team and they congratulate and they congratulate the winning team and vice versa. And I know when I was growing up, we used to say hip hip hooray after the soccer games and all that stuff. But the politics has seeped so much into the game, especially in the cricket game, because India and Pakistan, both countries, they are so much passionate about the cricket. It used to be field hockey, but now it is cricket. That even though field hockey is still there, but not to the tune up to the where the cricket is. And Indian Board of Control of Cricket of India is the richest body within international cricket body. And a lot of things which BCCI does, International Board of Control of Cricket, they don't say much about that, and they just let the Indians, BCCI, do whatever they want to do it. So out of this whole mess, and that's what I will call it, what happened is the intent to lower the temperature or show the sportsmanship that okay, that's fine, politics fine, okay, but this is something we are going to be the bridge between that two divided countries. Yeah, it was same country, India, Pakistan, before the partition. And after the partition, yeah, I as far as Pakistan is concerned, what I have been reading is they have this continuing, what should I call it, a continuing effort to attach themselves with the Arabian countries and with the Arabs. They can try, but that is not how geographically anything works. They can try whatever they want, but they will still remain South Asian countries, South Asian continent and everything, number one. Number two, they are also trying to portray as Pakistan was the original country and India was carved out of Pakistan. What is happening is they are doing politically, and the new generation is growing up with a false narrative. On this side of the border in India, RSS is rewriting the historical books. Some of the historical facts are either being ignored or those facts are being mutilated and distorted. And end result is that even the historians, those historians who are actually who really dig into deep into the facts and then they write it, they actually are being sidelined, and those who want to write what the government wants to write are being promoted. And it is being done not just in one part of the administration, but every part of administration. And all of a sudden, since the BJP came to power, the Muslims are like persona non grata. And one of the things they are saying that these are all those who are Hindus and converted, or they should either convert back to Hinduism or they go to the the Muslim countries which were created, Pakistan and Bangladesh. Nobody looks into the fact that this change of religion happened centuries ago. Number one. Number two, why it happened. If you really start looking at it, you will find out that it happened because the caste system and those people who the pundits won't even let them walk in front of their house, that kind of discrimination. And I grew up in the villages and I have seen the things happening with my own eyes, what was happening. Okay. So, instead of making a progress to have equal society, even though within I am being a Sikh, even though within Sikhism we are taught and we read, and within our, it is supposed to be within our DNA to be equal, but no, it is not. But yes, there is one factor which definitely is there, and that factor actually is that within Sikhism, you go to the Gurdwara, you eat same food, you sit down with the same people, nobody asks you who you are, what your caste is, where you come from. No, it's not at all. Yeah, when I was growing up in the villages, it used to be that okay, the so-called lower class people, they will make them to sit in a separate line than the others. But when you go to the Gurdwaras where they have the throwers, everybody will take the dip in the same water. That was the whole idea. That was the, when this whole process of langar and taking a bath in the thrower initiated, that was actually striking at the root of that division within the society, within the communities. And that is something which seeped into, and it is still there. So, by not shaking hands and then by not accepting trophy, because the guy happens to be, the chairman happens to be of from Pakistan, there are going to be lot of mud throwing on each other, and at the end of the day, what would happen? The players, some of the players were those crazy fans, I will actually call them idiot fans. They will send money, and the money actually has spoiled the brain of all these people, including the BCCI. So, what actually is happening is sport has also is being used to widen that divide. And literally, if you really look at it, if these two countries, three countries actually, India, Pakistan and Bangladesh, if they do trade within as a one unit, that will be the biggest trading partnership in the world by numerically. Number one. Number two, the money being spent on the army and armored, that can be used to raise the living standard of the people. But it is not happening. Why? Because there are those people in power, politicians on one side, and in Pakistan we know that army controls almost everything, and army on Pakistan side, because for them they actually will lose the power of purse and they will lose their privileges, and they are afraid of that. So, in other words, that was a golden chance for the players to rise above their sectarian minds and draw a bigger picture, a line which everybody would have strived to reach that line, that how to treat a fellow human as a human, how to treat a fellow player as a player, and respect that player, whether you won or you lost. You played for each other, each team played for their own country, and they did their best for their country. But once the game is over, that's when you are supposed to be a sportsman going above. But that is something which didn't happen, and that is going to be further harmful to the community of the continent. Now, coming to the next, we are going to talk about United Nations session. Actually is in session right now. Let's take a break, and after the break I will be right back. Welcome back to Mainstream with Harpreet Singh Toor. Once again, I always mention about it. Make sure that you communicate with me. Send me the message, send me an email at hstoor@gmail.com or at info@justbroadcasting.com, and this way your questions, they will reach to me, and your suggestions will reach to me, and I will be more than happy to talk to you about it. Okay. Now, coming to New York City, before we go into the United States and the world politics, Mayor Eric Adams dropped out of the mayoral race. It was supposed to happen way back, but it didn't happen. He decided to run as independent because he knew that he will not win the primary, and that's why he chose to run as an independent. Being an independent, he was sliding down and down and down, even though we have Mamdani at the top, which appears to be that he may end up becoming the mayor. Then Andrew Cuomo, then Curtis Sliwa, who happens to be Republican, and he actually, to me, he is also a criminal who spent time behind the bars because he had this organization called Guardian Angels. He collected money with that, and he faked the savings and intercepting the fights and this and that, and that's what he served the prison for. Okay. So, I think Republicans, because they could not find anybody, and Curtis Sliwa is more than happy to be, their person to be on the chopping block, so he is. And then Eric Adams, and I was hearing from within political circles that he is going to drop out, but he was not dropping out, and finally he did. Okay. So, how this race is becoming more interesting is, it is not only that Eric Adams dropped out and the voter who was planning to vote for Eric Adams, which way they will go, whether they will go to Andrew Cuomo or they will go to Zohran Mamdani or they will stay home. That's one factor. But there is another factor, which is, and I am going to say here plain and clearly, the President of the United States is threatening that if Zohran Mamdani becomes the mayor, he will block the funds coming to New York City. It is none of his business who gets elected as mayor of New York City. It is the people, the voters who live within New York City, they are the ones who will decide who will be the next mayor of New York City. As far as funding is concerned, can he block it? Probably. Would the Supreme Court go with him? Definitely, because so far Supreme Court has given everything to him. It used to be that Congress has the power of purse, President is the one who spends the money and he can withhold spending some money, but he cannot transfer the funds from one to another. But now all of a sudden Supreme Court is giving the President every power, and he actually is acting as a dictator. If you really look at it, that is how he is acting. His every action is like that. And today actually there was a meeting of the generals, which Pete Hegseth invited from all over the world to come for a meeting. I have to still read into it what happened over there. I don't have exactly what he talked about or what they talked about, but there is one thing for sure, that President Trump and Secretary of Department of War, which is again instead of Department of Defense, they are trying to weaponize everything. DOJ is already weaponized. Even though President Trump, when he was president in the first term, and then in the second term, before he got second term, he always complained about weaponization of DOJ, weaponization of this. He actually literally is weaponizing everything, and when he tells Naomi, the head of DOJ, what he wants, it happens with the next moment. James Comey is the instance. The documents where James Comey can be, charged with any crime, he actually found that there was nothing which he can charge with. Trump forced him out, put up somebody from the White House, a yes person, and the first thing when she came in, she filed the charges. And I really appreciate the statement from Mr. Comey, where he said, he still had the faith in Department of Justice, in the courts. My faith actually is diminishing as compared to before, but I still have faith that there are judges, some of the judges who were appointed by President Trump, they actually have given some judgments against him or against his administration. That is important. How far they can stand that. James Comey made a statement. He was like, him and his family, they were just ready for this thing, because he said he knew this thing is coming and it will happen. And by the way, remember the mayor of New York was arrested by ICE, and they said that he was interfering with the working of the the officers from the ICE. Yesterday the footage came out, and in that footage the in charge of the officers over there, you can see literally that he is saying, yes, I will do, yes, I will do. he was being instructed by someone from Washington D.C. to arrest the mayor of New York, who was already out of the boundary of the facility without any incidents, no interference, nothing at all. They went out on the public property, and that's where they made him arrest. And you can watch how they were putting the handcuffs on him and everything. So, what is happening here? We are actually literally walking one step at a time into a dictatorial country. And there is one thing which I can say, I have been saying during his first term also, and I am going to say it today again, that America is losing its standing in the world, and it will not be repaired. Doesn't matter how much hard they try, how long it takes, but in the back of the minds of the other countries, which America and European countries and some other countries, they always looked at this shining light on the mountain. They know that that light is not shining anymore, and they would know that any time somebody like the current president can come and wipe out everything. And the Supreme Court, if they have the Supreme Court the way now it is, they also know that the courts will not be able to do anything. You know, in other words, they said that there are safeguards around. Those safeguards are not there anymore. Congress majority, House of Representatives, Republicans, Senate, Republicans, White House, Republicans. So, I am not surprised that the Democrats have not been able to talk about any issues at all. There is another issue, what happened in Michigan. We will talk about it right after the break. Welcome back to Mainstream with Harpreet Singh Thoor. In Michigan, a Mormon church was attacked by ex-Marine who was a mega supporter, who actually had in the front lawn a sign of the President Donald Trump. He opened up the shooting first, and then he set the fire, which means that apparently he knew what he is doing, that he knew if I start the fire here, how much damage he can do. But interestingly, when Charlie Kirk died, every Republican was blaming Democrats, whereas the Democrats were not responding in the same way. And some of the more moderate, that's the word they use, they didn't want to, use the language or the, that, okay, this is Charlie Kirk's death is something, it is anti-administration or anti-anything. It was, like I did the whole show on that, where I mentioned that I personally did not like what he stood for, but there was one thing which I agreed with him, and that was freedom of speech, which I always talk about, and I am going to talk about it today too, even though I did not talk about it today at the beginning, because it was about same freedoms which I discussed about the cricket match between India and Pakistan. Okay? You don't hear anything from the President, from the majority leaders in the Senate, from the majority leader in the House of Representatives, the Republican governors, or anybody, none at all. Nobody is talking about it. Even the media is not putting out the things properly on this thing, So, Donald Trump this morning got $24+ million deal with the YouTube, because YouTube, censored some of his speeches and stuff like that. What is happening again is every institution is being compromised. I still appreciate what Harvard University is doing. They are still fighting their case. Hats off to them. Everybody fell in line, including Columbia University. I still love university. I loved more till they actually kissed the ring of the king, in this case, the Donald Trump. You know, when you talk about anti-Semite, any hate against any other faith is, to me, is not acceptable. But somehow the hate being spewed, the information being sent out against the Muslims is being accepted without except, you know, when it comes down to the freedoms. Where this slide will end, I don't know. I really don't know. And there are people who are afraid in this country now where it will end up. And I don't blame them. I was talking to somebody today, somebody who went to India and they just came back. They came back only 2 days ago. There are a lot of people who are talking about, oh, they deported, they did. No. They had the green card, they are from India and they came in, nobody questioned them, nobody asked them, not a single question. They came to the window, they stamped their passport, go. There are injustice being done. I am not saying it is not being done, but at the same time, it is more selective. And how far it will go, I don't know. But one thing is for sure that that how this country will evolve after this administration is over. Remember, it's not even 1 year yet, and you can see the friction within the society. Where I live in Long Island, and over there you can see some of the people, some of the kids already being exposed to this kind of hate. And they look at some of the immigrant kids and they make the comments and stuff like that, which was not there before. And it's only what, 9 months? Not even 9 months. 8 months and 10 days, maybe 11. So, we still have 3 years and 4 months almost to go before this administration changes. And God forbid, I don't know what's going to happen. There was, you know, this is interesting. It just came out, and I'm House Minority Leader Hakeem Jeffries, I'm reading it from Politico, slammed the AI generated, artificial intelligence generated deepfake video posted online by President Donald Trump Monday night as racist and fake, which means President himself is involved in disinformation. And this is what he said. He said, Mr. President, the next time you have something to say about me, don't cop out through a racist and fake AI video. When I am back in the Oval Office, say it on my face. You know, and you know, it's okay. So, a person who actually, I grew up in Punjab, and we were told, and I always myself also say that when you, if you are a man, not that a woman can't be, but just in terminology, then stand up and say the facts, say on the face, have the guts to say on the face. But the people who do it this way, it means they are not really, you know, macho man. And another thing I will tell you, a person who actually is really has the power, he does not say anything, he does not do anything about it, he does not boast about it. He just goes on moving the way it is. Like, there is a saying in villages that when the elephant moves, the dogs will bark. Okay? Here, the barking part actually is with the president right now. That's how I see it, because he just cannot tolerate the facts, and he believes in, he believes in just lying and lying and lying. And the other thing which is coming out is that they are talking about that because healthcare is the big issue with the big beautiful bill, the subsidies to the healthcare have been decimated, and the people who actually, even the Republican states which started using Obamacare after a long time, it is actually, Affordable Care Act, which was given a nickname Obamacare. Even Republican states want it, but because of this big beautiful bill where more than $450 million was $450 billion with a B was taken away to provide the health care to these people and give the tax break to the trillionaires, and the hospitals are going to get closed within the countries, within the country, and the counties and the states. And I personally know where my elder son was born, that hospital closed. Where my younger son was given his life because he stopped breathing, that hospital is closed. And after this bill, which will go into effect in January, God knows how many other hospitals will close. And I'm talking about New York City, and I'm not talking about the rest of the country. Rest of the country, we'll see. Let's take a break, and after the break, I will be right back. Welcome back to Mainstream with Harpreet Singh once again. Let us talk some international politics. Okay. There is a new plan being floated for Gaza, which basically is same what Bibi Netanyahu wanted. Nothing changed, except that Bibi is buying time because he knows if he's not the prime minister, he will be behind the bars. One of the reasons why we are here today, let me give you some timeline. What happened in October of 2023, it was horrible, no doubt about it. It doesn't mean that it reduces the importance of other horrible acts being done by Israel or in the settlements by the Jewish who are in those settlements, and they actually do whatever they want to do and they don't get any justice. But whatever Hamas did, no doubt, horrible. They still have the hostages. Israel actually wanted to just wipe out the Palestine completely from Gaza as well as from the West Bank. And that's why a lot of other countries, including France, Britain, Germany, and I think it was Finland and Australia also, they actually recognized the Palestinian state because Bibi Netanyahu was planning to annex West Bank completely, which means there will not be any Palestinian state. And those Palestinians who live within Israel, they are not treated equal. Yes, Israel has its own elections, it has its own parliament and everything, but those people who live in there, they don't get the same treatment. Okay? Having said that, the new proposal which the President Trump gave 3 or 4 days to Hamas to accept, which basically was, you are dead if you accept it. If you don't, then I will kill you. Both ways you are dead. Even though I haven't read it yet, but from some of the outlines, that's how it appears. Okay, number one. Number two, internationally, Russia is still fighting, Ukraine is still resisting, even though it has been receding into the minds of the people. That war has not stopped, and Trump has not been able to stop that war, which he declared within 24 hours. He will take care of that. Number three, Sudan. Still, famine is there, people are dying from hunger, and the foreign aid which was being used by all the administrations, including Trump's first administration, to help the countries to fight the hunger, malaria, and AIDS, and all that stuff, that funding is not there anymore. It was to the tune of about $5 billion, and Trump decided to cancel it, and Supreme Court gave him the license to cancel it. Remember, I talked about Supreme Court, how Supreme Court actually is enabling this president to be a dictator, not the president of a fully republic elected president the way it should be. Three branches: executive, elected, and judiciary is still standing up to some point. The courts, not the Department of Justice. Department of Justice is history. Federal Bureau of Investigation is history under Mr. Patel. Kash Patel, they just fired about 20 FBI agents by claiming that they kneeled down during some protest of Floyd. I know a lot of cops here, and if you go to the precincts in the evening, late evening, after the sunset, you will come across actually the cops being dressed in different clothes, because they are going to go out and mingle with the people. And FBI, same way, mingled with the people without disclosing their identity. They were not, hiding behind the masks like it is being done now. They actually will not put out any ID, and they will work with the people, work within those groups, so that they can actually get the information of what is going on. And when those people, that group which they were keeping an eye on, when they kneeled, these FBI agents also kneeled with them, so that nobody would know that they are not part of that group. They decided to fire them. This is called weaponization of departments. Okay? So, January 6th happened. Everybody saw that. But somehow Republicans has accepted that, and they are not even talking about it. Josh Hawley, who actually was running for his life, literally he was running for his life, and he used his raised fist to support these when he was running for his life. And all of a sudden, he is one of the biggest supporters of those people. President Trump sent the army to Portland. Portland is not another country, and Portland do not need it. I was there in July. I didn't see that what they are talking about. And one thing is for sure, there is something, when President Trump addressed all these journalists today, he actually told them that he wants to use the army to learn warfare tactics in the cities. Are you kidding me? You are telling the army to kill your own people, which is actually supposed to protect them, which means what? Which means you are literally sowing the seeds of that civil war within every branch of the government. And sooner or later, it's going to hit on the face, and once it hits you on the face, then what would you do? You will have no excuse where you can say that, okay, this is what happened and I am going to reverse the order. No, it doesn't happen that way, you know. So, now I am just reading from BBC about it, that Gaza plan is ambiguous. It does not outline anything X, Y, Z, it will be done A, B, C, 1, 2, 3, 4. No, it doesn't. Okay? And it says Hamas officials told BBC that it is ignoring the Palestinian peoples totally. And that's what Bibi wanted. Bibi knows that Trump will do whatever he would ask him to do, and that's what it is. So, this is something which is again internationally. Now, how Muslim countries, you know, Saudi Arabia, United Arab Emirates, Qatar, you know, how these countries are going to react. Egypt, Syria doesn't matter anymore. They have their own internal war going on, even though then they have a new person who is the president, but that civil war which he claimed that he has stopped, it did not stop, it is still going on. So, what I am trying to say here is that what is happening is there are so many irrational things happening and not being reported properly. Yes, one more thing. In Gaza, 25 or 26 journalists have been killed so far by the Israeli army. Remember that 5 journalists a couple of weeks ago, they were killed by direct hit. The Israeli IDF, Israel Defense Forces and the Israeli government, they claimed that they actually killed, they bombed that place because there was a camera recording the army's movement. No, it was actually a journalist who had that camera set up, and there were other journalists at the same time. They were monitoring the movement because they could not go out, they were not allowed to go out, and those are freelancers. And the cloth which was covering the camera was actually the cloth which the Muslims, when they do prayer, they use to cover their head. It was that piece of cloth, and they use that as an excuse to kill those journalists. And I think Router or AP came out with all the details of everything on that, proving that it was a totally lie. In other words, the freedom of press is so important, and especially in today's day, that is the necessity. And if that does not stay the freedom of speech, remember, we are going to lose every aspect of our life slowly but surely. Machines are already controlling our lives a lot, believe it or not. The government will control rest of it. What you eat, where you go, how you go, what you speak, what you don't speak, what you listen, what you read. Where would you end up? You will end up being just a, robot which actually is run by a remote, by somebody controlling it, and you have nothing to say, nothing to do on your own. And that is actually the killer of everything. And last, by putting in that $100,000 for H-1B visa, the European countries and China came out with the K visa, and European countries have their own visa process now. where they are actually asking for the best of the best in the world. So, let us see how the things will ultimately end up. With that note, till next time, good night and good luck.